Next we have Noelle Stevenson, and her career rise has been meteoric. She is the Eisner and Glad Media Award-winning New York Times best-selling writer of Nimona and Lumberjanes. She's the author of The Fire Goes Out, a memoir and pictures. And of late, she has been the much heralded executive producer and showrunner of DreamWorks' She-Ra and the Princesses of Power. So big hand to Noelle Stevenson. I hope you at home are clapping for these people. You can clap while we do this, right? Yay!
Yay. Thank you for having me.
Noelle, you came into the industry just like a whirlwind. So as I recall, you've been out from day one, but day one wasn't that long ago. So talk about what does out in comics mean in your career for both comics and Hollywood?
I actually wasn't out from the beginning, which is really interesting because I feel like I've had a lot of like queer stories and characters in everything I do, but I don't know. I don't know if it was one of those things where everyone was just like kind of like waiting for it to happen. And then I was 25 when I officially came out. And just up until then, I was just like, well, maybe I'm just a straight woman who just loves writing gay stories. Who knows? I can be that, you know. But I mean, I really think that comics was kind of my path to learning to accept myself and learning about myself in general. Yeah, so it started with Nimona, which has a prominent. There's only like 4 characters in it, but you know, all of them are. Well, I mean, all of them are gay, but there's a prominent relationship between a villain and a hero, both of them male. Not super overt, but it is like a big part of that story. And that was my first book. That was the comic that I started when I was 19, and a long way still from learning, that I was a lesbian, that just who I was in general. My next book was a collaboration. I was a part of the Lumberjane series, along with Grace Ellis, Brooklyn Allen, and Shannon Waters. And so that was not only is there a trans girl as the main character, but there are 2 girls who have a crush on each other from, issue 1. And that was really exciting because it's an all ages comic book, and there hadn't really been a lot of queer characters in all ages comics at that point. And just right away, we knew that we wanted that to be something that was kind of just very, very clear, and very like a very central part of that comic. And then, so I think that like I was definitely at this point like learning about myself. I was definitely like, maybe there's some hints about who I really am, maybe in the stories that I'm interested in. But I came out in 2015 or 2016, around the same time that I started on She-Ra. And so She-Ra really, not only is the original show from 1987 just incredibly, incredibly gay, and I felt like I had to continue that legacy. I think that She-Ra and He-Man have always been gay icons, and wanted to bring that to the present day. So those have been my stories. I think the queer aspect has always been a big part of it for me, but I have not always been the most self-aware person, so I didn't realize how much it was reflecting on myself until I reached a certain point. But I really do credit comics with kind of like guiding me on that path, and surrounding me with so many people who were, so like proudly out and true to themselves, and I was so inspired by them, and I wanted to be like them, and I wanted to be sure of myself and the way that they were. So yeah, really comics was what let me here.
I have to say, as I co-wrote Lou Scheimer's biography about Filmation Studios, which is the people who produced He-Man and She-Ra, and Lou's daughter, Erica, who played Frosta on the show, is an out lesbian. And, Lou and I talked a lot about if he were doing cartoons today, would he have featured queer characters? And he said, absolutely. And it was one of his frustrations that he never got to do that. So, it's funny because you say He-Man and She-Ra are pretty queer, and Tim will probably have some more to say about that as well. But the intention of at least the producers and the people behind the scenes was that they would have done that then. If they would have made it not coded then.
Yeah. I think my impression, like watching the old series, is like, we have Spinnerella and Natasha, and they're married in our show. But if you watch the original, they were kind of already married. Maybe they couldn't say that, but it's like it's doing everything but saying that they're married. Where they're a bonded pair. They need each other. They're always together. All these things. So it's like not only is it chock full of rainbows and scantily clad muscle men and curvy ladies in tights, and there's rainbows everywhere and unicorns. It's like I really do think that there was just like a very, very strongly implied gay presence throughout the entire show, and I was really honored to be a part of that legacy in general.
Noelle, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been a journey for me. Definitely comics is like I felt like I would always just pitch stuff, and I just figured if you were going to go for it, you had to really go for it. But it's interesting. I felt like in every case, it's even when you expected people to be really chill with it, sometimes they were not comfortable with how hard I wanted to go right away. I actually, it's like, it still kind of bugs me a little bit. Like the second issue of Lumberjanes, Mal and Molly are two 12-year-old, 13-year-old baby gays who have a crush on each other, but it's all in the background. But then Mal gets almost drowned in the river, and Molly tries to give her mouth to mouth, not knowing how to do it, ends up getting saved by another character jumping on Mal's stomach and expelling the water. And then in the script, it was supposed to be kind of the only thing that Mal really remembers is did you just kiss me? And they talk about that a little bit. And I didn't, when the issue actually came out, the line was changed. And so instead of saying, did you just kiss me? It's now did you just save me? Which was really interesting because, well, the kiss is still there. The mouth to mouth is still there, and they've never changed it back. Even in the collected volumes, which is really interesting because I feel like it's the comics are known for having gay characters, it's a queer all ages comic that's it's a big part of it, and I think that they have gone on to be able to be much more blatant with it. But it was interesting that even I think people get afraid when you no one wants to be the first person to just be out there in case it doesn't work, in case they get in trouble, especially executives. And so on She-Ra, that was it was something that I was very used to, and it was something that I've never had much chill as a person. If I'm interested in something, if I want something, I tend to just say it. And so I really, really wanted gay characters and gay themes to be a big part of She-Ra. And at first it looked like it was going to happen, it was going to be supported. I had there's this prom in season 1 where it's just we wanted all the, we wanted gay characters to go together and dance together, and we wanted all these moments. And it looked like it was going to happen, and then the election of 2016 happened, and everybody got real scared. And so it became this really, and it's really, I don't know, I feel like you gain the skill after a while to just be able to sit in a room while people are telling you why gay people shouldn't be seen by children, and not take that personally, and just kind of keep trying to come at it from different angles, being well, what about this, what about this, what about this? And it got to the point where I just started straight up kind of just being no, that's not gay, that's what friends do, that's what sisters do, that's not, you're the one, are you, this kind of homophobic that you think I can't write a straight friendship. So I just, after a while, that became my tactic when I wasn't able to make progress in other ways. But then again, it's there, it's pretty clear to see, and I fought really hard for it every step of the way. And I think once it's out there, once people are responding to it, and once you start hearing the stories and people are oh, I saw myself for the first time, I'm so happy, my 5-year-old kid is gay and he's so happy, stuff like that, where and then then everyone starts warming up, then everyone starts being of course you can do that. And so I don't know, I guess it's just it's you never expect it to just be handed to you. Even now, you know, I think my cover's pretty well blown at this point. Like, everyone knows what I'm about and what I do. But I still don't just expect, you know, people to just be like, okay, sure, Shira's a lesbian now, whatever you say. Like, I don't expect that, but I don't stop trying for even stuff like that seems maybe like too much or too soon or whatever. I just think if you're gonna try, you gotta try. Yeah, so I'm interested to see kind of how this goes now that my bag of tricks has sort of been like found out. And you know, I hope to just continue to, you know, not only continue creating the gay characters and gay stories that I'm passionate about, but also see other shows, other comics just be able to maybe go a little bit farther than they would otherwise be able to because of something we did on the show. Like that's really like, you always know that you're not just working on your own show at that point. You're trying to clear a path for people who are gonna come on your heels. And like, that's something that I always had in my mind while we were making the show. I think it's with She-Ra, I feel one thing that's can be very overwhelming, but also is a responsibility that I take really seriously and that I've gotten a lot out of, is the fact that like there is this huge following of LGBT young people who see themselves in the show and in the characters and like are watching it because they relate to it in that personal way. And so it's interesting, where like, again, I didn't come out until 2016. I'm this very relatively recent. And so I still feel like a baby gay in almost every possible way. But like, I remember being in the Castro the day that like the Supreme Court ruled that marriage for everyone was legal across the nation. Like, and I remember what it was like before that, and I remember what it's like after that. And there are a lot of kids who are younger, who are maybe in their early teens or even younger, who are watching She-Ra, who don't even remember the world before that passed. And so it's like, of course we can get married. Even I am just like, of course we can get married. Like every so often you just are like reminded that it's not a given, that it wasn't a given then, and it's still not even really a given now. But what I love about that is that like there are people who will never know, or they'll never really understand how difficult it was to get to this place. And in a weird way, I sort of hope they don't know that again. I hope that doesn't happen again. I hope they don't need to like see that happen again in the world. And so in a lot of ways, I try to take inspiration from them, because I feel like every time, you know, we say like, look, here's a gay character, here's a gay relationship, here's a gay storyline. And they're like, oh, great, now more, give us more, please, and better, and different, and this and that and that. And I'm like, but I worked really hard for this. But it's like, we're never gonna get comfortable, because there's no end to this journey. We have to keep pushing, we have to keep getting better, we have to keep to those people who have that clearer view of the future, because we do have a huge responsibility. Like, we show the world the way it can be, and it's limited by our imaginations and by our own limitations, but it doesn't mean we should stop trying. And so I think that, like, you know, staying, like, I feel like it's a huge privilege and also a huge responsibility to be in this position, because there is still a lot, like, there will be times when I don't understand something that's going on among like a younger group in the LGBT community. And it's like, this is the time to listen. This is the time to pay attention, because these people are going to be who's taking it the next step. And so it's, you know, it's something that I think about constantly. And I hope that the world, like, I hope in 5-10 years, it's unrecognizable all over again. And that like what we're making now is like, it's just a step in that stairway, and that what we will be capable of is something that we almost can't conceive of now, because we just have to keep going and getting better and trying to dream bigger and better things about the world we share.
Noelle, how about you?
I also cannot announce just yet what my next project is. Maybe by the time this panel comes out, it will be announced. So if you're watching this and you know what it is, good job. You figured it out, you know. I hope the future's nice and less scary than where we are now. But yeah, it's something that's really close to my heart, and I'm really excited to be able to return to it.
Ooh, that's a hint.
Lovely to